Last week, the Hood River Valley Parks and Rec District Board meeting addressed a question from Stephen Vineyard, who asked, why is the concept cost north of $40 million for basically a great new pool complex and supporting office and rooms when Lake Oswego's new pool concept was $45 million and it was a massive recreation center with a full gym, weight rooms, dual pools like ours, amongst other things? It seems like we're getting half the rec center that Lake Oswego did, but at nearly the same cost. How do we reconcile that? That was a good question, and here's what the answer is.
The comment is that they are asking about comparisons to the Lorax Center, which is the new community center and aquatic center in Lake Oswego that opened last year. On this picture right here, you can see basically this whole side right here is a community center that has a gym, some workout space. Actually, the locker room facilities are right here, and then right here is a multi-purpose room that is kind of like a yoga dance studio sort of thing. And then this is staff offices over here. The yellow here is all hallway space, and then this room right here is kind of like what their birthday room would be like. It's a room that faces part of the pool, so it opens to here. Couple things to point out right here. You can see the roof line is all lower along right here, and it's just raised where the gym is and such. There's a huge difference in how much it costs to build aquatic stuff and the dry side things. The last time when we were considering putting in a community center and gym and such, the gym itself, when we added the gymnasium, it was 8,000 square feet, so a significant amount of square footage. That was between $2 and $3 million was what that would cost to put that in. And so it's a large amount of square footage, and you get a lot for that, but it's it does not cost nearly as much as the pool stuff, because the pool, you have a lot more concrete. You've got complex systems such as HVAC, dehumidification systems, all of these extra things. And so the cost per square foot is just a lot higher on those different things. I put this table together. You might have seen it before from the FAQs, that has what our proposed measure is. And we talked to the people that bid this project out. We worked with a reputable firm, Integris Architecture, and they had a professional bidder that bids these sorts of projects. And he said, you really need to compare the year that it was bid with the year that you're going to be bidding the next project. And when we look at that, the LORAC here was actually bid in 2022, and so there's actually a 5-year difference between the bidding. So if you put a 5%, which construction inflation is actually on the West Coast has been closer to between 7% and 8%, but they use 5%. So if I just use a conservative 5% inflationary value, but for a 5-year bidding difference there, it goes up to 57,294 between these two. And so there's a lot bigger difference there with that, but also all of these other things were the cost driver. We've got a 10-lane with a lot, lots of volume of water, concrete and such. The HVAC system, like I'd mentioned, double height space required for water polo, so we have a higher ceiling. Which adds to the HVAC costs and things like that of having to heat and take care of that space. And then there's other things that we look at here. Such as this other facility, when it's being built in like the Portland metro area, there's a lot more contractors there that can do that type of work. There are large contractors that will bid on those sorts of things. In a regional area like this, we don't have anybody that would do that. So a lot of people would be coming in from Portland, a lot of these places, and so there's the drive time and all the other things. And they said that really with a regional facility, you can look at an uptick, a regional market uptick of 5 to 10%. That it would cost extra on top of that. It's a valid point, and that's why we did a lot of this research in advance. I'll go back up to this thing right here. The 4 that we had listed here, the 3 other comparables, we really wanted to have ones that were very recent and aquatics only that we put up here. And so South Whitby is one that's being built right now. It should be finished, I think, sometime this summer. And I should have I should have put this square footage, it's about the same size as ours. It's a close comparison, it's a little bit smaller, I think about 5,000 square feet smaller. And then there's the Pasco Aquatic Center, and there's some differences with this one, because they have partly outdoor stuff and partly indoor. It's really is difficult to get like apples to apples comparisons here. And then the Halem is a more recent one that is a much smaller facility, and it was a rebuild of a existing facility. And so there was a lot of stuff that they did not have to start from scratch on. I've got more information in our FAQs that has square footage and some other things. I was doing this quickly because this comment came in very late to put up here, but I'll be able to share a little bit more on this as well. We'll be able to share that if we put this out there on social media as well. But just to show that we have done our homework and looked at different comparables too.
Thank you for doing that. I was gonna ask that exactly. I saw that post earlier this week, and I was actually gonna bring it up to ask you. So
Yeah.
thank you in advance
Yeah.
for saying that.
The cost estimator, one of the things he advised was to make sure we're looking at Pacific Northwest comparables,
Yeah.
not just like anywhere in the country. I mean, not only the 5 to 10% difference for being in this area, but just that it's not apples to apples if you compare to Arizona or, wherever. So that was a point.
And oftentimes people will bring that up. They'll say, oh, well, look at these facilities in Texas or in Southern California and such, and they're almost always outdoor facilities. And people don't realize like how much the building, because you have to do a certain amount of span to get across a pool, and that's expensive to do that without any beams in the middle and things like that, and the types of buildings and such. And so like anytime someone tries to compare an outdoor facility to it's not even, can't even be compared. You have to have an indoor component.
This one was, I thought it was valid. It was Lake Oswego.
This one was.
And so then, I love that you brought it up because I was,
Yeah.
this is, I think, like you said, when someone mentions their, other states, like, okay, whatever, but when it's this close to home, this is good information.
Yeah, yeah, and people are going out to it. Marcy and I both visited it, and so it's a wonderful facility. And but when you look at kind of some of the facts behind it and everything like that, it starts to get a little bit make a little bit more sense. It's just there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I want to say one other thing about the cost estimator that, we talked to them about what were their assumptions and things like that. And one of the things was their assumptions about the level of the finish and that they use an assumption that it would be kind of middle of the road. And he explained how a lot of places ended up having to cut costs, they run over budget, they have to then do lower cost finishes. And so it's important to factor in at least, that medium level. And a point he said that was really interesting to me, it makes sense, but if you really cut corners there, it ends up costing you in the maintenance, right? You do more repairs, you have to replace, the floors sooner, things like that, and so it's an important thing to kind of understand, for us to understand.
Just had the strategic plan is very small today. Just had a couple of kind of situational clarification questions that have come up. One was if the levy passes and the bond does not, and what we were just talking about, there was a question specifically, will the pool days be reduced? Because in this scenario, we do not have the new facility, but we do have the extra money to run the facility. I think that this is a kind of a difficult one to answer. I would say that like I don't believe that we are planning on it at this point. We would like to be able to run, but without having a facility that we can count on, we can't guarantee you what the days like how well this place is going to run. We're going to be able to maybe probably put some more money into the management of it and trying to put more money into the maintenance of it and things like that to be able to fix some of these different things. But as far as it won't become reliable overnight or anything like that. So it's I think that the answer there is somewhere along the lines of we are not planning on reducing it for cost cutting measures. However, without a reliable facility, the facility could have reductions.
So we could just say the levy will guarantee we have the staffing for it,
Yeah,
but we can't guarantee that the longevity is there.
yeah.
Is the maintenance being drained at a higher rate, and what does that look like recently?
Mhm.
That's just remarks that I've had to try to field, and I don't know here nor there how to really approach and talk and play whack-a-mole one at a time.
we found earlier that our maintenance dollars, how much we've spent in maintenance, in the, maintenance or repair line item at the pool doesn't tell the whole story because we capitalized anything over $10,000.
Correct.
And so, but we do have, a list of those things for like the last 5 years or so and where it is. It's not it's not a completely steady line because as you know, I mean, there'll be these really bad years where all of a sudden you've replaced like a whole bunch of stuff with the HVAC and these other things. And then you'll have this other year where you dodge a bullet and you kind of skate by.
Because I hear now like, okay, well, how much do you have? And, okay, so if things are like over $1 million, you don't have it. Well, can you just go get a loan for it and then you can keep it going for how long? And you,
Yeah. And I think that goes back to kind of a philosophical question of like, should we as stewards of the taxpayer dollars be borrowing money to fix something that is in such bad shape that where we could lose? I mean, imagine having to pay the payment on a loan for a pool that's closed. For repair of a brand new boiler or something like that on a pool that we've had to close, after that and everything like that. And I think that framing it in ways like that with the public of just being like, would you go get a payday loan for a brand new engine on a Toyota Camry with 300,000 miles?
yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I just
Yeah.
like to convey sometimes to everybody else here what we're all starting to hear right now.
Yeah.
And I think this is good to talk about. And we're gonna get into the weeds over the next 2 months for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So essentially the answer to this is not planning to reduce pool days as long as the levy passes, but there will
No guarantees.
continue to be maintenance
That's
needs and like,
my interpretation of
Yeah.
how I would answer it, but this
Yeah.
is a question for the board because it's a policy decision
Yep.
for the board on what the board thinks. So if any board member has a different take on that or some other things that they would like to bring up here.
I don't think they look at policy way, it's just that, I think.
Yeah.
We will have staff to maintain as long as the building is safe to run, we'll run it.
Yeah.
But we can't guarantee it won't shut down for a week because of construction or because something breaks down.
Yeah.
Or really, unless, there's a good chance that might happen, but.
That's how I've conveyed it so far,
Yeah.
is I can't speak for the future, but this is what we've talked about thus far and where we're at. So it's the best I can give you with so many uncertainties.
Yeah.